Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Now here's something we haven't seen in a while, which is a war video on my channel. In fact, it's been probably about 6 months since I've produced one of these, but there was something about my team today and the lineup of defenders that I have that I thought it'd be worth to hit the record button and see what happened. In fact, I didn't even really decide until the run-in of this first fight. By the way, this is Path 5. I typically just run up the middle and then, potentially take mini bosses or bosses as needed. But I do full Path 5. I usually do the minis in the middle and any of the shared fights as well. So this is the second fight with Heavy Hitter, and I did get smacked a little bit. I'm treating this a little bit like a warm-up fight, both as me doing voiceovers and additionally like recording war for the first time in 6 months as well. So I did make a couple mistakes. But yeah, the reason I decided to do this one is there are two members of my team that I recently spotlighted on the 2022 video, and that's specifically Valkyrie. She's going to be taking a ton of fights. We're going to see her go against Thing, against Node 22 Knull, and also a Galan Boss. And note we have Conduit today because in Tier 4 they can choose the defense tactics. And then also Omega Sentinel made my team, and she takes a couple mutants that I think are slightly better matchups for her than Nimrod, which is something I talked about in that other video. And then lastly, this is the first time in a while that I brought my new rank 4 Overseer into war, and I did pick the Subdue Attack Tactic, which you'll get the first glimpse at that. So really the only thing you needed to do in that last fight was make sure you knock him down. I chose special ones to knock him down because I couldn't really land heavies against Kingpin, and we did most of our damage through block and everything was fine. There was nothing particularly dangerous about that fight as long as I didn't hit his unstoppable. But now we come up to the shared node on Path 5. This one has right back at it, which means no debuffs for us on knockdown, but that's not really going to be a problem. Now in this fight, I'm going to do a little bit more of a traditional Valkyrie style. So right there, I inverted my combo so that I can start getting some bulwarks, and I am going to throw a special one. And now notice, because she's Sig 200, as soon as we get our first Pierce buff, Unstoppable is just turned off for the rest of the fight. We already have 3 Pierce, we already have 2 Bulwark. I've just been alternating around the number 20 by doing alternating combos of light and medium ending, so that by the time we get to our special 2, I'm going to have 3 debuffs each, 3 buffs each, 3 Bulwark and 3 Pierce, so that this is going to hit really hard. And basically all we need to do is heavy ones to knock him down, and then we can throw a big special 2 into his block, which is going to do a ton of damage. Just so you know, that little passive Fury, it scales with how many buffs you have. So you can see that one special 2 was enough because we had 6 total buffs. Which just gives you a massive Fury. Additionally, the block penetration from the Pierce and also the armor penetration does help a little bit as well. So Thing is one of her ideal matchups. You just don't have to worry about rock stacks. You don't have to worry about anything. Now, I don't typically use boosts that often in war, but I was like, hey, we're recording today. This is a rank 4 Knull, and this is also a theoretical fight here. Now, he doesn't have the really annoying node where you get the glancing. I think she wouldn't be able to do this fight if we had that tactic, Unsteady Ground, but essentially for Conduit, I'm not really sure why he's here, but he's still pretty annoying to fight. And, the combination of these 2 hazard shifts, being, Shock and Incinerate, those are tricky to navigate. Somebody who's either double immune or who can get around it. I think Dr. Doom would easily take this fight, but I wanted to see what would happen if we only hit into block. Now, of course, a couple hits do slip through. The other thing to note here is that Insult to Injury is on this node, and because we already have like 13 Living Abyss on us, we're not going to be able to parry him very easily because of the defensive ability accuracy. So my goal in this fight is not to do anything fancy with the combo. I'm only going for the Pierce buffs, and we're just doing medium enders. And now I pushed him to a special 2, and I'm doing a little bit of calculus in my head. I'm like, am I going to be able to kill him with one more special 2 before I have to bait a special 2? And then I started thinking in my head, like, oh no, he has like 33 prowess in his building. So, you know, like one blocked hit of a special 2 is probably going to one-shot me or come close to it, even the blocked hit. And now if I was really smart, I should have been building bulwarks by like reverting my combo at some point so that I could take a little bit more block damage. But we're getting to the point where I'm actually like making decisions in my head right now. I'm like, am I going to just YOLO the ending or should I bait this special 2? And I'm like, yeah, we should bait the special 2. So we get our Super Scion skills here and we get the bait off, which is good because I actually didn't practice that very much. So I'm very glad that I was able to get the bait of the special 2. That first hit when he lunges at you takes a little bit of timing, but fortunately our second special 2 gets him down, and yeah, that was good. We were into that, and that went pretty well. So we just proved that as long as there's not glancing, Valkyrie can take these annoying hazard shift fights as long as you only hit their block pretty much, and that worked out great. So this next fight is going to be debut of Overseer. As I said, he has the Subdue Attack Tactic, which basically gives any champ that has that tactic a neutralize. And also a Fate Seal off of the specials, I think. So the neutralize is very potent. It's 33% chance anytime you hit them, I think. So basically you're going to be seeing a lot of neutralize here. And now this isn't necessarily a fight where like if he gets a lot of buffs it's bad, but a couple things. It has power focus 2, which means if he did build enough buffs, then he could go unblockable off of his special 2, and he is going to be throwing special 2s potentially. But the other thing to note, aside from this root that we're just kind of messing around with right now, I think that's the only time I got rooted here. The neutralize, yeah, it's basically stopping all his buffs, but because it has power focus 2, the additional power gain that he's getting is really good for Overseer, because anytime they fill a bar of power, you're going to get more of your gamma, and you can see we're already at 6 gamma. So we got our full gamma already, which didn't take that long because he was just building power so long. And now you can just see the damage. It's the light attacks, the retaliation when we punish a heavy or a special, big red numbers of physical damage, and that's it. And we basically took no damage as well. So Overseer is a very powerful champion. When they are gaining power quickly, or he's able to retaliate in some way, you just build that gamma so fast. And then we had the addition of him being a neutralized champ on top of that, so that Silver Surfer never went unblockable. Now here's an example of a fight that Nimrod would be okay at, but the thing that makes Omega Sentinel even better is that it has Power Snack, and she is a tech champion that is Nullify immune. And that just means that we don't ever have to worry about our buffs getting nullified. We do have to worry about getting heavied there, and that one hurts. That was a lot of attack. The other thing to note here is that I chose the miss counter. It's called the tracking debuff. So basically, we're just going to have miss turned off for the entire fight, and we can just kill this guy with basic hits. Omega Sentinel has a very high base attack. And you can see with class advantage, our mediums and stuff are doing like 7k damage. We are a little boosted here, I think, but not that much. And basically, there you go. No power snack, no miss, and big hits. And that's kind of all you need against Professor X on power snack. And we didn't have to throw any specials at all to get through that fight, which is why the power stings didn't do anything. Now, I loved that there was a Kitty Pryde right here because we all know that Nimrod just like totally hoses Kitty Pryde. But if you've never seen Omega Sentinel versus Kitty Pryde, it's pretty great too because her base debuff is Cowardice. And anytime you land a Cowardice, it just turns off all of Kitty Pryde's kit. So I do something a little risky there, and I do 4 lights first. The reason I do that is it allows our cowardice to have full duration. The reason it was a risk is because if I crit too many times, then she would have already gained 3 prowess, and then, you know, it would have been a little bit harder to get an opening. But yeah, I definitely would choose the cowardice route versus the tracking route, even though, you know, miss is its own thing. If you turn off the prowess, you also turn off the miss. We got a very nice intercept there. She just kind of played right into us, and then one special 2, those plasmas did plenty of damage. It's very useful that the incinerates turn into plasmas because she's incinerate immune, so that really helps that we have a debuff source that can damage Kitty Pryde. And yeah, she just doesn't have a lot of health, so that went very quickly. And next up, this is a very common placement, even in like tier 1 wars. This America Chavez with Mighty Charge. She does the thing where she throws the heavy immediately, which cracks me up. But yeah, amazing light intercept there. I don't know how I pulled that one off, but now we're able to do full damage. And I'm just trying to bait special 1s. Obviously, the power gain that she gets is going to help us build Gamma. I kind of don't want to deal with her special 2. I do know how to deal with it. You just have to bait a heavy right before and get her into Utopian Parallel. I've talked about that on my channel before. But yeah, we're just playing it safe. Like the special 1s are just a little bit better here, in my opinion. Because yeah, we're getting more Gamma. We don't have to worry about blocking it. But here, we do need to either wait for the, the Dark Dimension or whatever it was to fall off. And or negative zone, I mean. So that fell off, which means that we didn't have an unblockable special 2, and we can just block that because we're pretty tanky. And now we are in cosmic mode. We have the Ebb and Flow Fury in our hands here, and the retaliation damage and the lights in cosmic mode are more than enough to get her down. So yeah, that was good. That's a dangerous fight, man. I've seen a lot of people die there because you can't stick debuffs, but Overseer doesn't need to stick debuffs, and he's tanky enough that if you do make a mistake, you're okay, and we dealt with that special 2 the right way, and that's enough. Now this is about the same node with Mighty Charge and Ebb and Flow Intercept, and we're just gonna totally take care of this thing. You know, obviously the lower you get in war tiers, the diversity doesn't matter as much, so they probably had 2 SIG 200 things and decided to place both of them. But we were able to just use Valkyrie for both. So there you can see again, once we get over 10 combo, Unstoppable just doesn't do anything. It's just straight up turned off. Now on this fight, I'm going to do something slightly different. This is something I kind of thought of / learned midway through the war. As we're trying to land a light intercept, there we go. We got one sort of the old school way where we just throw a light into the air. But right here, we do have Ebb and Flow down. And what I did that was different this time is I did light ending combo into special 2 into block, which reverts our combo. And then if we just start whacking away at him, we get our blue combo, which means these bulwarks are also going to be building up. Those help with block proficiency, but more importantly, it means when we get our final special 2, our Fury is going to be a lot bigger. And there we do land a nice light intercept again, second one of the match, and this is going to proc protection, unfortunately, but it still does a lot of damage through the protection. And now one more combo should be enough to get him down. And yeah, what a great thing counter. So that is straight up the middle. We took every single fight up the middle. No mini bosses today, but we are going to take a look at Galan Boss. And now this is one that I have seen models of for Conduit Galan Boss. Note that Conduit in tier 4 doesn't have, when you knock them down, it gives them debuffs, so that makes it a lot easier, but we are going to basically play it as if that were true, because we don't need to knock them down at all anyway. Now, I did pop a regen boost, a combat regen boost, because I was a little worried about how much the harvest would be doing. But one thing to note about Galan is that his harvest damage only is base attack. It doesn't scale with modified attack. So even on a war boss, the amount that you would get is like the same as if you were basically dueling him. So it's still a substantial amount, and if we take too many of those, it's going to hurt. But, you know, so just to be safe, I put on the regen boost. I could also see you using Power Start 1 on this one, which is what I did for the Knull. But we want to be, if we're going to bait specials, which obviously we're going to have to at some point, we want to bait special 1s because we don't want to deal with unblockable special 2s or anything like that. And the way I deal with it is I just kind of block the last beam and then just sort of get out of the way at the very last second. That time I kind of took the whole thing on block, but it doesn't do that much. And pretty soon we're going to be seeing some bulwarks. So now that we have 3+ pierces, we start getting these instant bleeds. So you can see these hits into block are already doing like, what, 4k damage or something every time we hit them. So these are basically like medium, actual like mediums into him. And then when we throw the special 2, it gets him down pretty far. Here we're going to take a burst of harvest. It's a pretty solid chunk, so I'm not too happy about that. But we did the same thing that we did against Thing, which was we reverted our combo after throwing the special 2. And this is just going to make our second special 2 that much more powerful. Let me think, what else is going on here? So power back boosts do not work when you are using them on blocked hits. That's just something to note. So don't pop on a skill boost because it won't help you at all. But you can see that because she builds power through the block, everything's fine, and that none of this damage is energy damage, so it's not doing anything with Conduit basically. And yeah, I mean, he's really not building his planetary mass that quickly. He does do it naturally when he's on defense, and there's not really anything we can do about it, so we're probably gonna have to take one more harvest. But yeah, now we're just basically building up to one more special 2. We take another harvest there and hoping that the special 2 kills him basically. But this is Valkyrie in a nutshell, man. She can just get around so many things. In this war we saw she got around hazard shift. She's taking an alliance war boss. She can get around unstoppable. She even had that cheeky kill of Kingpin without having to use heavies. We used her special 1. We've done a little bit of everything here. We've done reversion of combo. We've done not reversion of combo. We've shown the bulwarks, the pierces, everything. And a couple more hits to get this guy down if he decides to cooperate. Not this combo, but I think the next one is enough. And that is the end of that. So with that, thank you so much for watching this video. I had a really good time recording these fights. Maybe I'll do more wars in the future. We did end up winning this one, so I'm glad I kind of took it seriously and boosted a little bit. But yeah, that's it. Path 5, straight up the middle, Galan Boss, Valkyrie, Omega Sentinel, and Overseer. 3 rank 4s that are phenomenal war champions. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one.